The epitome of perfect tailgate food.
The ingredients we're using today are about a dozen large jalapeno peppers, about 1.5 pounds of Italian sausage that's been fried and crumbled, about 2 cups of shredded cheese. Your call on the cheese. You can use Monterey Jack, cheddar, anything you like that gives you that rich cheesiness that you want to add into this. We're using 2 packages of cream cheese, and then we'll be using bacon to wrap these in. In addition, we're going to be adding the same rub that we're using on our ribs that we're serving tonight. We're going to use inside of our filling for the jalapeno poppers to kind of bring it all together. Today we're going to be using Terry Black's dry rub. And then you can use a spoon. I actually have a core that I like. It's a really nice core that's made for this. So simply just take the top off and use this core to kind of get down in there and just kind of spin around the insides of this. Get it nice and out, and you can see how nicely that pulls that out. So it's really nice as it gets it there. You can see it's completely empty. So that's a really nice way. So get that, set it aside, and let's get the rest of these done. Now we're gonna make the filling for the jalapeno poppers. The first thing that you're going to do is add in a couple packages of the cream cheese, and then we'll go ahead and get that lifted and started. Now that we've got our cream cheese mixing in the bowl really well right now, what I like to do is add our sausage. You really want to allow the cream cheese to work in with the sausage. Remember, you're making a filling that's going to be stuffed inside of these peppers. Make sure you scrape the bowls inside of the bowls really nice in here. Get that back in. Now I like to add my cheese into here. And it needs to have a little body because we don't want it just all to run out. Now what I like to do is take some of these seeds that were left over from the jalapenos when I cut them out, and I like to add those back in. And then add about a tablespoon or so of our rub. This is looking about perfect. The last thing I'm going to do is use just a little bit of my secret powder. So this is my dried habaneros, 1/4 teaspoon. So I like to beat that very fast once I add my super hot spice in to make sure it gets very well distributed through everything. Looking good now. I'm going to go ahead and stop this, drop this down. Now what we have here is this incredible filling for our jalapeno peppers. I'm going to take this mixture, fill our jalapeno peppers with our filling. After that, we'll wrap them in bacon, put a few toothpicks in to hold them together, and then we'll get them ready for the smoker. One quick tip that I find very easy that I learned in a kitchen a long time ago, before I cut my piping bag or my bag or whatever I'm using, if I'm using a piping bag like this, I like try to find the pepper that has the smallest hole opening into it and making sure that when I put this in that I'm getting as much flow as possible through here. So I can see that this pepper in itself has a large hole, and I can cut this bag pretty much to make sure I get a good flow all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this spot here. And then what we'll simply have is, when we're here now, I can just simply push in. But now I can see as I've got those pushed in and filled, get those in. And I like to just make sure that you kind of get a good push down all the way because I want to make sure it's filled in really nice. So there we have one beautiful pepper. So I've cut this now, so I've got a stack of smaller bits. And then I can take a slice like this, take what I call one of the hats, lay it over the top, like so, and then take this piece of bacon and wrap it slowly around, like so. Then, what I like to do is I take a toothpick and go through the hat so it stays on nice and tight. And now what I've got is one beautiful jalapeno pepper stuffed, wrapped in bacon. These are going to be huge. I hope I can fit all these in my actual smoker. So I'll get these finished up and then we'll come back and check before we stick them in the smoker. I'm telling you, many years ago when I used to do tailgates, I would do, at a certain point I think I did like 200 of these one time. And they were great and I loved them and everybody loved them. But I swore I would never do that many again. It's just a lot of work. 14 beautiful jalapeno poppers. So you want to make sure as we put these on the tray that we're leaving enough room. So you can see I alternate the way I turn these. It just allows me to keep the spacing a little bit better, but I want to make sure that I'm getting really good airflow between each one of these. I've cleared the smoke in the smoker. I do have a rack of ribs, baby back in here right now. The peppers are now in the oven. I've got them in at about 250 degrees. I'm guessing that they'll go for about an hour and a half. I like to take them slow to really let them render down. I find when you take enough time and let them render, we're going to see that the actual bacon will start to really penetrate inside of the jalapeno, and it gets this really sweet flavor that blends really well with the cream cheese that's inside. So I can't wait to see how these come out. It's time to pull our peppers out. Wow, they look amazing.
The epitome of perfect tailgate food.
Affectionately known as the jalapeno popper. You can see these look amazing. So nice. The smoke is the pepper's perfectly cooked. I love these. I cannot wait to try one. They're just scalding hot right now, so we'll have to get to that in just a bit. There's only one thing left to do, and that's to try the popper. Now typically I would be eating these with my hands, but this is boiling hot, so I figured I'd just go ahead and cut into it and see how it comes out. Soft, beautiful. The bacon is perfectly cooked. The pepper looks gorgeous. Well, let's try this. Unbelievable. So good. So good. That bacon's really great. The Italian sausage and the jalapeno with a little bit of my habanero pepper. Nice little kick. The mouth is full of a lot of spice. These are some of the best I've ever made. And man, I love them in that GE indoor smoker. So easy to do. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you know a way to make these better, please tell me. I'm still looking for a dip that might actually add something. I'm thinking something sweet to add to this heat and the savoriness of what's already here. But I'd love to hear your suggestions. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to our next meal. Bye-bye. I still got it. I know how to make poppers, that's for sure. Those are so good. Cheers.